Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
Hello, I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, February 13th, and this is Blinkers Off. What's up, man?
Yeah, what's up, guys? Happy to be back and happy for a big week of 50-point prep race. At least one of them will be 50 points, so that'll be fun. It's always kind of now we get serious, right? Winning your ends, basically. That's kind of when the game really changes, right?
Yeah, it's it. I mean, it's kind of always a weird one because it's like you still got a couple smaller races, but the Risen Star really does kick things off, and of course the Rebel being next week. Officially gets it going, and with these horses, again, we talk about it all the time. These next preps here, the Risen Star, the Rebels, the San Felipe, some of these, like, this is when it goes from like, like there's still time to like, no, there's not a lot of time left. You gotta, any horses that are making these races that maybe they have setbacks or maybe they just don't, plain and simple, don't run very well. You just are starting to kind of get up against it a little bit in terms of making it to the into the gate in the first Saturday of May.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big, it's kind of one of those deals. The big way to sell this race coming up with like East Avenue or a Built or those top horses, you may end the day and they're one of the top 5 or maybe even the top horse in the country for the Derby, or you may end the day and they're not even in the top 20 because they ran 5th. And that's just it. That's the margin for error is very narrow now. And so it's put up or shut up type of thing, right? And so that's what makes every week on the Derby trail so exciting. You've got such an exciting horse like East Avenue, but in the back of your mind, okay, he wins and we're still excited. He runs 4th or 5th. He doesn't look well. And it's like, wow, there's a major player that may not actually be a major player. So that's what makes the sport fun this time of year. And that's what we're all tuning in to see and find out.
Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately, that's kind of the way it is anymore, or at least for the most part. A lot of these trainers have tended to, whether it be early on and then one race late, or not anything at all until you kind of have to run well. Mm-hmm. That seems to be the trend as of the last several years, where, like you said, with East Avenue, or we saw it. You see it every year. We see with like Citizen Bull, like, who came back early, and then we're not going to see him again until the final prep, probably. So you have horses that maybe don't make their debut until February or March, as far as their 3-year-old debuts. And then you're really, if East Avenue has another dud trip or whatever, then all of a sudden, shit, he's in trouble of making the gate. It comes down to one race, and so it definitely adds a lot of pressure on these horses. To get into the gate whenever, with these like one and dones or the two and dones, or a horse that has any sort of hiccup, it really, you get up, it makes it tough.
Yeah, it really does. And like you said, it's kind of the way they train horses, and the way horses lead up to this thing now is so different. It used to really, boy, if you didn't start as a 2-year-old, you were way behind the 8 ball there. But yeah, so it kind of makes it okay. We're all kind of 1 or 2 shots. And if we struggle, well, we'll see you in the Travers, and we'll just point for the summer races. So it is interesting how racing has changed in that regard. But it also makes these last preps, starting with the 50-point, the Risen Star, going through the second weekend in April, it intensifies the situation so much more. So it does make for a fun little 2-month run here as we lead up to, the biggest day of the year. So very curious, really both the races. The Sunland Derby is not a 50-point race, but it is kind of a curious race. And then, of course, the Risen Star, it's going to be fun to talk about. It's going to be fun to watch. I mean, I'm very interested to see what happens in that race, who comes out of it, who shows up, and who doesn't. And there's always going to be horses that show up and we will be like, yeah, that's what we thought. And then there's always some that are the flip side of, wow, how disappointing was that,
Yeah, I think these next 2 weeks are going to be really interesting. One, this weekend, of course, with East Avenue. I mean, this is a horse that, like you kind of alluded to, if he runs well and kind of runs to his form in terms of his first 2 races, we're talking about, I mean, shit, you're talking about a top 2 or 3 choice in the Derby, right? Because that's kind of, whether it be the connections, his ability, just the style he runs, all those things, like, there'll be a lot of factors leading towards this horse is a real deal.
Yeah.
Then the next weekend, and obviously we're still trying to figure out where Baffert's sending, whether it be Barnes and Rodriguez seems to be the two, with Citizen Bull kind of being on the shelf until the last prep. But where is he going to run these horses? And then those are two, especially Barnes, a horse that's very highly regarded, and going to make that big debut as far as the major stakes race of 2 turns. And what does that mean? And so you're going to start to see horses that are like legitimately top 3 candidates for the Kentucky Derby, or maybe they're not at all, right? And so that there's such a fine line there. But these next 2 weeks have a bunch of stars, or at least potential stars, as it relates to the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, and you're right. This race is kind of more about East Avenue built, and maybe Vassimo, we'll see. But then you get to like the Rebel, and it's like, okay, there's more in that one. And then you get the 3 preps coming up the week after, and it's like all around the country there's more, and that's a thing. The build is really unique. You think about the build to like a playoff in sports, right? Teams lose, teams win, but there's margin for error is huge. And maybe until you get down to the last couple, weeks of the season for these sports. But here it's like every race is the last day of the season right before the playoffs. And everybody, maybe not everybody, that's probably a little bit too strong, but a lot of the horses are on a level ground. They're like tied, and they need to beat each other to get into the ultimate playoff. And that's what makes horse racing special. And that's what makes it, in some ways, when you get into these situations, more exciting than anything else, because the margin for error is so slim, and one little thing, and it's like, holy shit, he needed to finish 3rd and he finished 4th, but he stumbled, and oh man, now he's not going to be in the Derby. We'll see him in the Preakness. So we're into that period of time where you can't have anything go wrong, or you're going to be maybe in a little bit of trouble to even make the gate. So, and I know that's weird to say in February for a race in May, but it's the truth. Everything's got to go according to plan from now on out.
Do you think that there's any, I was just sitting here thinking about this. Do you think that, like, with the fact that, one, we have so many we have like a very hot top heavy as far as trainers go, trainers with a lot of, whether it be Brad Cox or Baffert or Pletcher, they have multiple horses with the same owners, the owners that have been there before, owners that have no shortage of Derby horses, where it's like, like maybe if this was, maybe if you and I own this horse, we'd probably be like, yeah, get him to the Derby, please, like just run him. Whereas now it's like, like we were there last year, and like there's still a lot of, we'll have one next year as well, and like let's just make sure, like let's just point to the Belmont or whatever it is, like. So that factor, I think, is a huge part of this as well. Now, where you just don't have the pressure from these owners, and not always, but a lot of time, and trainers to get that horse to the Derby. So everything does need to go perfectly right, or else it's just going to be like, yeah, we'll just hold off.
I think that's absolutely a real thing. And I think it's become a real thing with the big conglomerates that have kind of, formed together to run, by mega horses and a bunch of them. And I think they do kind of plan it out. And it's like, well, he's a little bit behind, but he's got talent. Saratoga's coming up. We'll try that. Del Mar's coming up. We'll just save it for that. And where you're right. Hey, because we got horse B, horse C, horse D, they'll all make it. Maybe one of them will win. Where if you and I got a horse and we got it with Kelly, I'm on the phone with him every day if he's good enough to run in those races, say, get his ass there.
Yeah.
He's something wrong with him. I don't care. He's going to run. You know what I mean? So, of course, small things wrong with him. No, we're not waiting. We're going to run. So yeah, it's definitely just how it is when the ownership it kind of shrinks into these big conglomerate type of situations. And they're also they don't want to run against each other at a lot of times too. And so you space them out. So horse racing is different than it used to be in this regard. That doesn't mean it's worse. It just means it's different. The planning out is a little bit different. The urgency is a little different to make races just the Derby. There's all kinds of races throughout the year. And so they're kind of making, strategy type moves to win a bunch of races versus winning one race.
All right. So I mentioned it a little bit here. Do you think, what do you think is going to happen in the Rebel next week? Do you think, which Baffert are we going to see there? He's been very wishy-washy. Obviously, Rodriguez, maybe wasn't as impressive as people hoped in that last race, and so now he becomes a little bit. I mean, I think it's a Citizen Bull / Barnes, whoever you want to put there, and then everyone else as of right now. And so I think the focus is, where is Barnes going? Is he going to the San Felipe? And he's been so wishy-washy about it. He's been like, one of them's going to go to the San Felipe, one of them's going to go to the Rebel, or they might both run the San Felipe. He won't really say anything on which one's going where.
He's been pretty honest up until this week. I feel like the BS kind of started from him this week, because when you think about it, up until this week, where he's kind of said they're going to run, that's kind of where they've shown up. But then it's like, okay, we're going to send a getaway car over to Saudi, and Matticat Road's going to Sunland, and then Sunland comes out and there's getaway cars. So it's like, okay. And then it was like, yeah, I think Barnes to the Rebel. The way it sounds like to me now, I think Rodriguez to the Rebel, Barnes to the San Felipe. That's my guess as of right now. But you're right. We're kind of into that Baffert season where he's not really going to tell us. We'll know when they draw who's going to run that day. Citizen Bull, I thought was going to go San Felipe. Now it kind of sounds like one prep, and I think that does open it up. And listen, I would say this, and this could be totally inaccurate, but this is kind of how I'm thinking of it. If Citizen Bull is going to run in one prep, I think that means the Bob Baffert horse minus Citizen Bull that he likes best is going to run in the San Felipe, and I speculate that'll be Barnes.
Mm-hmm.
I think Barnes is San Felipe. I think you're going to go Rodriguez with the Rebel. That'll be a nice little test for him to kind of gauge, okay, where do we actually need to send him in for his last prep? Is he good enough or what? And then I think when you get to the last preps, maybe Barnes goes Arkansas Derby and Citizen Bull goes Santa Anita Derby. We kind of keep those two separate, and then the rest fall where they fall. When you sit here February 13th, that's very hard to kind of write that in pen, but that's kind of write that in pencil what I think might happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think, especially considering how it'd be super easy, much easier to win the San Felipe than the Rebel, and again, that's not, I mean, he wins the Rebel, it seems like every year, he has shipping a horse out when you don't really have to, I think you're right. I think you're dead on with how that would plan. Mm-hmm. And you're like, hey, listen, if it's Rodriguez, it's like, hey, this is a big race. This is $1 million race. Like, absolutely. Maybe we can steal maybe not only steal some points, but steal some money here with a horse that I don't think is my top end horse. Right. And so I think there's that factor as well.
I think, again, February 13th, hard to really say like set in stone here, but don't you think Rodriguez is like third string?
Yeah. I mean, as of now, yeah, for sure.
You could go win $1 million race with your third string horse. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous, but it could happen. And I think he's got a shot if he goes. And the other thing, and I think you're right with Barnes, you go to the San Felipe, it's his first race around 2 turns. He's basically running against his friends. Like they're not going to have but about 6 horses in the race. 2 of them are probably going to come out of the same barn. I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be an easier race for him out there. And I would want, if I believe Barnes is one of my best, but he hadn't ran 2 turns yet, and we're running 2 turns for the first time, that's the setup I would want for shipping to Oaklawn. We know Bob Baffert has great success there, but we also know it's a wild ass track. You never know what's going to happen there. And that Rebel field is pretty damn good. So there's a lot of reasons to say, you know what? I'll just stay here in the San Felipe and we'll send our boy Rodriguez out there and we'll see how good those horses really are. We'll see if those horses can beat my number 3 horse.
Right. Well, I think too, it's like, if he believes he knows what he has in Barnes, like if he's thinking, again, we're speculating here, but if he is if he thinks, hey, Barnes is like, I mean, this is a real deal. Like this horse I'm not concerned about taking him to Oaklawn to see what he is. I know what he is. So let's just run him in the San Felipe, stay here, get the points or whatever, build our way up to, he's already thinking Derby backwards, right? Yeah. Where it's like Rodriguez, like you said, it's like, well, it's a big race. Let's see what he is, right? If there's ever a time to test him, we've run him here at Santa Anita in a small field. Like, let's see what he is 2 turns at a place like Oaklawn and see what happens from there. So I think at least that makes the most sense. But again, we'll find out. Like if Barnes were to show up in the Rebel, then maybe it's a little bit different story. I'd be a little surprised though, but you never know with Bob Baffert.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way of looking at it. And I that's because Rodriguez is the one where it's like, that could go either way. He still could be actually really good, or maybe he's not. You know, I don't have a good feel for him. Really good maiden. He was okay in that stakes race next out, but yeah, what better way to kind of find out about him? And to me, when you've got all these multiple horses with one like that, I would want to do what you just laid out. Let's go see who he actually is. And if he's not what we like good enough, let's forget about it. Let's kind of get him ready for a summer campaign, something like that, you know. But if he goes out there and wins or runs a good second, okay, we know maybe we need to get him to the Derby. Maybe he's got a shot. So I kind of agree. But you know, again, it is that season. I just this week and the quotes he had, it just kind of made me feel like, okay, we're not going to really know. I don't really care what he says. We'll know when they enter, type of thing.
Do you think that just looking forward, let's just say it's Barnes and Citizen Bull being his 1A 1B type horses? Do you have a preference? I mean, I know I always think back, and it happens a lot, right? But I think I always think of American Pharoah and Dortmund. Like that's kind of how I always look at it when I think about who he's sending where. Do you think it like in the picture, like does it matter in Bob Baffert's mind, like, hey, my best horse is going to Oaklawn, or does it at that point, is it really just kind of depend on timing and those things?
I think it depends on timing. I think that's the big thing. You're right about the American Pharoah year. He sent him to Oaklawn twice. But the Justify year, he kept him at home. And I just wonder if it's more about it's a horse to horse basis. It's a timing situation, stuff like that, more so than A horse goes here, B horse goes here, and there's not a lot of flexibility. You know what I mean? I tend to think it's just kind of a year by year situation. I think if you're like the Citizen Bull camp, like I'm in from a fantasy perspective, I think the San Anita Derby is probably the best sign for him.
Yeah.
And then if you're in the Barnes camp, I think San Felipe and then Arkansas Derby might be what I would think he's going to do.
Yeah. I don't think there's any. I'd be shocked, let's just say, if Citizen Bull leaves that camp or that that track, that barn, until the week before the Derby. Basically, I just don't imagine them leaving.
Could he want to ship him to see how he handles it? Because he has shipped from Santa Anita to Del Mar, but like across to maybe see how he handles it. That could be the only pushback I would give to that. But that's
the only issue with him is and back. So let's just say he goes straight from now to the Santa Anita Derby and then straight from there to the Derby. The only issue we're all going to have, the only question mark we're all going to have is, he's been, his kind of knock is like, well, he's just like no one's tested him. Like, look, he's just gotten easy leads. No one's pressured him. Like, so you're going to go into the Derby wondering, and especially let's just say the Santa Anita Derby is a 8-horse field or 7-horse field or something. You're like, well, shit. I mean, again, I don't know what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. But we've also seen that in the past, and that works okay as well. If he goes to the lead, who cares?
Yeah, no, you're right about that. I mean, I was talking to Magic earlier this week, and he's like, that's just why I can't get high on him, because he's just beating his own horses. Then I thought, well, you have journalism, number one, and he's beat the same horses as Citizen Bull, so I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, it's one of those things where he does have easy leads every time, and we're not going to know until we know, right? But listen, people said that about American Pharoah. Oh, he can't rate. And to me, like, yeah, he had some great wins going gate to wire, obviously. But damn, he had some good wins when he stalked the pace as well. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't really. Sometimes the good horses are on the lead because they're good. So
exactly.
there's that factor as well. I feel like sometimes we like to discredit when they go to the lead and say, well, they've been tested. Well, that's because they're faster than everybody else and have more stamina than everybody else. So, it'll be interesting to see. Although no sense in speculating. We'll find out. This time next week, obviously, we'll be previewing the Rebel, and we'll obviously know who is lined up for that. So, again, these next few weeks are going to be very critical for not just these horses, but all these horses. But we'll start with this weekend, We'll get to the preview and picks for the $500,000, 2 of them this weekend. $500,000 Risen Star Stakes and the $400,000 Sunland Park Derby. These are both prep races for the 2025 Kentucky Derby. And then here we go, Halterman. We're going to hand out some harsh punishments.
That's right.
On the new Wheel of Justice. Let's go. Very excited about this. Very excited.
I think that should be the show. The Wheel of Justice is the new show. That's just what we do. So
we should just have it. I think we'll be able to turn this into like its own game show, Like we can just have our own show about it.
I think so.
I mean, if the commission shouldn't put us in charge, I think, but
Well, the commission is not doing their job, so we have to take over.
Yeah, it's not. We didn't choose to do this. It was basically chosen for us. So
that's right. Somebody had to step up. It's us. If you don't know what we're talking about, just stay tuned.
Sometimes you don't decide to be a hero. The hero decides to be you, right? So I don't know what I'm saying. Okay. Saturday at Fairgrounds, race number 14. It's the Risen Star Stakes Grade 2, worth $500,000, going a mile, 1 1/8 miles for 3-year-olds. And we got a large field here. And it is the first official 50-point race for the Kentucky Derby. 50 points to the winner. So you win this race, you are going to be in the Kentucky Derby. 50, 25, 15, 10, 5. So we're at that point of the trail here where you win one of these races. It's not like, this horse has got some points. We just need a little bit more. This is it. You win this, you're probably going to be in unless you have some sort of issue down the road. So, like I said, a large field of 13 lined up here. But look at this, Halterman. You've got East Avenue making his return after just a impossibly bad start, bad trip, everything you want to mention in the juvenile. 9-5, though. Are you willing to play him at 9-5 off that layoff and off such a poor effort in the juvenile?
Yes, I am. I definitely am. I am very, very, very excited for East Avenue in the spot. I just really, really can't wait. Look, we've followed horses forever, right? This horse, I heard about him before he ever started. I heard about how good he was. You watch his first race, like, yeah, no, that was pretty good, actually. And then you follow the workouts, and it's like, man, he just looks great. He runs in the Breeders' Futurity. It's like, oh, that's flawless. Flawless up to the Breeders' Cup. People were telling us at the Breeders' Cup, this is the most impressive horse here. That not just 2-year-old, all the horses. This is the most impressive one. Disaster at the Breeders' Cup. Total disaster. One of the most disappointing races I can remember from a horse I was that excited about. We'll see. He looks like the same old East Avenue as far as the work tab goes. I'm excited. The thing about it is, dude, he kind of needs to just dust these horses if he's that kind of horse. I do think Built is a decent challenge. Jonathan's Way, Vassimo. I mean, there's a few in here where it's like, yeah, no, it's going to be tough. But listen, this is a race East Avenue should win.
Listen, I mean, I'll make it very simple for you and for those listening. When you look at him in this race, it's like, listen, there's no one should even sniff him. Like, he should just, as long as he just break out of the damn gate. Don't do what he did in the juvenile. Break out of the gate and then slides out. I look at his first 2 races. I think that the everlasting issue with him is going to be, at least as of now, is it wasn't just the break. It was just how badly he quit in that race as well, the juvenile. I mean, he broke poorly. He was out of it. He was out of his element. And then he finished like 9th, beating like 14 lengths or something, like it was never even like it was over before it started for him in that race. It wasn't, damn, man, like he still rallied up to finish 3rd. Like, imagine if he would have got a star, so you're right. The works look good. I still trust that he's still that horse, but we need to see it now. We need to see this effort. We need to see, like, if he breaks from the gate, I don't think they're going to touch him, but if he gets funky again, then, I guess Built is the horse, although I don't necessarily fully believe in him here. So I still think East Avenue is going to be my play here.
Yeah, look, I just feel like I just feel like you could poke holes through a lot of these horses. Where East Avenue, it's like, well, yeah, you can poke holes in his last race that was a disaster, but his other ones not as much. So I think Built is interesting. Maybe Built is kind of one of those that just doesn't like the slop, because he definitely, the race 2 back, the Gun Runner was good, right? In the race last time out in the Lecomte, it just didn't look quite as good. Maybe it was just a sloppy track and a long day, and a lot of horses have been over that track, and it just kind of produced a weird race. Built is one I think can beat him, because you just, I don't know. That last race, I'm not holding that against Built, but the rest of these, I don't know. Like East Avenue's gotta beat him. He really does. Like Jonathan's Way, I just don't think the horse is going to like a mile and an eighth. I think you got to beat him. Vassimo, I don't know, dude. I'm a little skeptical on him still. I want to see what he does in this spot. He's got talent, but let's see. I just feel like the other horses are more than beatable, and I just think this is the time East Avenue's got to show up and remind people why we liked him so much as a 2-year-old.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see Built run well, just because it's unfortunate Disco Time's not in here. Of course, Disco Time beat Built last out in Lecomte. Disco Time hasn't had to work since, so he's on our fantasy team, so I've been kind of tracking him, and because he had a little bit of a setback, he's still fine. It sounds like they're at least planning to run, and I don't know if it'd be the it stays home or goes to Oaklawn or something, but we'll find out where he ends up. But it would be, if Built were to run really well here, then obviously it would. I mean, you would assume it would help Disco Time in terms of like without running in the race. So I think there is that factor a little bit for me as well with Built. But bottom line is he was a favorite. This is not like he was East Avenue was a favorite of the juvenile. Okay, like you kind of mentioned it, like he had all kinds of hype going into the race. Well, he was a favorite of the race, a race that had multiple Bafferts, had Chancellor McPatrick going into that race, regardless of what you thought of him. Like he was, obviously a well-hyped horse, had win multiple races in a row. It was a big-time race, and he was a favorite. And so you got to bounce back from that effort and run well here. In fact, I wouldn't even say you have to win, although that would be, I think he could still be on the path for the Derby with the loss if, say, Built were to beat him. But I do think in terms of saying this horse is what we thought he was going into the juvenile, he needs to win.
Yeah, I agree. I think you said it perfectly. I think if say he runs second or third, yeah, he's still on the trail, and we'll see what happens. But the stock drops significantly.
Yeah.
Like he needs to win unless again he's got some kind of crazy excuse. But again, even if he loses this race because he did something funky, then it's 2 races in a row he did that, and it's kind of like, okay, maybe it's in his head a little bit. So no, I really think that it's like you need to show up, you need to run really well, you need to win. And if you don't, you're probably not who we thought you were. And you hate to be like that definitive in February, but when it comes to the Kentucky Derby, not the whole career of this horse, comes to the Kentucky Derby, we got to clean up what happened last time. That can't happen ever again. And, or you're going to have the same result. You got to clean that up. And then you got to show us, yeah, no, actually he was pretty much going to be the best horse on the Breeders' Cup that day. You need to show up. You need to run well here.
Ryan asked the question of East Avenue, if he's a horse that needs to have his own way, should he get his own way here? But, but if not, can he overcome it? And to that point, I want to ask, like, even if he wins here, let's say he breaks from the gate, bam, see you later. It's like just first 2 starts and doesn't really necessarily look back. Would you still leave the race? Well, 1, obviously, would you leave the race like, yeah, he's a legit Derby horse, but 2, would you be like, yeah, but like, is it, because then you kind of you'd have that juvenile still in your back of your mind. Like if he kind of needs everything his own way, like, would you like to see him be a little more tested here in terms of like, hey, maybe he doesn't break perfect, but he kind of has to grind out a little bit of a win here?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. The way he kind of moves, I don't really think he's a type that needs the lead or needs to have it his own way. I think he's just naturally fast, and I think he's just been in front. I think if the horse got out of the gate well and sat second or third, if somebody was going crazy up front, I really don't think that would bother him. I really don't think he'd be tugging to try to catch him early. I just think he's naturally fast. I really think him and Citizen Bull are kind of the same. I don't really think Citizen Bull absolutely has to have the lead either. I just think he's a fast horse. So no, I think he can sit second or third and still win here. Look, I don't care if he wins gate to wire. I don't care if he sits off the pace and wins. I just want to see a horse finishing strong down the stretch. And whether it's win by a length or 3, just let me see a horse A, win. That's the most important thing. B, just look strong down the stretch. Be impressive down the stretch. What that means lengthwise, I don't, it doesn't really matter. Just show me something down the stretch of this race. Finishing strong at 1 1/8, whether you went gate to wire or you set out the pace. I just want to see a strong finish and a win. How he does it in between, I don't really care.
A horse we'll talk about here a little bit more later, but in terms of this race, Vassimo for Todd Pletcher at 8-1. That kind of going into it was, in my opinion, was the one on paper that seems pretty interesting for Pletcher. That he's had some success bringing horses in to fairgrounds in the past. Vassimo though made headlines earlier this week with a positive test, the Medina Spirit. Positive test, betamethasone, I think is how you pronounce it, but a drug that's basically for anti-inflammatory. Tested positive, though. It was for a race after his debut. He's ran a race since. Of course, in horse racing, we're all about timely test results. And so we just find out this. So 1, is he going to run? 2, what version will we get? And 3, what does this mean for Todd Pletcher / Vassimo?
Well, Vassimo, I think he's going to run. I don't think it hinders his ability to run in this race. So he's going to be in it. It's just another thing. You know what I mean? It's just another thing for horse racing you just laugh at. So it was the debut race where he got the positive. And if you watch that race, he ran extremely well. And you kind of wonder, because Rapture, the horse that finished second, came back and he kind of ran off the screen in his next race and won at Oaklawn, and you kind of thought to yourself, well, maybe Rapture should have won that day at Gulfstream, and maybe it would be Rapture sitting here right now at Fairgrounds in this race if he would have broke his maiden on December 14th. But hey, it's horse racing, so it didn't work out that way. But yeah, look, my thing with him, he has been a impressive winner as far as the lengths that he's been winning by. He won by a length on debut, 2 3/4 in his next start, but the numbers, both those races have come back extremely slow. So that's kind of the skepticism for me. He needs to get a little faster in this race. He's bred to go 1 1/8. So I can't say that I'm totally against him, but I don't think the vibes are good with Vassimo coming into this one.
It's going to be one of those, you're kind of screwed either way. Because if you go out there and win, then you're like, well, okay, let's find out whenever he is in the Kentucky Derby. We'll find out this was another positive, or you do bet him and he runs like shit, and then you're like, well, because obviously if he had that in the system, which I think a lot of horses do, honestly, it is a regulated drug, but he obviously has some sort of issues, right? And so already. And so if you would always wonder, like, well, they're going to take it off of him. They're not, he's not going to have any, and now he'll be a little sore and whatever. So we'll find out. I did hear good news though. They are thinking maybe a possible suspension for Pletcher, 7 days maybe. So
is that true?
Literally, the article says, hang on, is this on DRF?
I thought you were making a joke, but I realized you were not.
Pletcher could also face a suspension of either 7 or not 7-2, 7 or 15 days.
Oh my goodness!
Which I think that's interesting in itself. Not 7 to 15 days, which would still be low. It's 7 or 15 days. One of the two.
Yeah.
If only we had a way to determine that. So.
Well, I think he'll learn his lesson after that kind of suspension.
Yeah, the 7-day suspension. Okay, so we'll find out more about that down the road. So,
yep.
All right, give me your final.
Probably this time next year they'll put out the suspension, but anyway.
Yeah, exactly. 7 days in December at a track that's at Gulfstream that will be shut down at that point. Which is like, never mind, we forgot about it.
Right.
All right, give me your pick here and your thoughts on the race.
Yeah, I went number 4 East Avenue on top. Here's what I think is going to happen in this race. I think he's going to win fairly easily, or I think it's a 30-1 shot that nobody saw coming. I think it's going to be one or the other. I just feel like if he struggles, there's enough question marks about these others that a race like Seattle Road or Chunk of Gold come up and just make this thing go crazy. So I think it's one or the other.
Well, if I said 1.5, where would you land on this as far as horses in the Derby? Because I mean, one's going to get you in, right? But you're basically, because to me, it's like, if East Avenue wins like he should, I don't have a lot of faith in any of these other ones making it.
I think Built can make it. I think he's got enough points, right? Where if he runs good here, he can make it. So, yeah, East Avenue, I'm going to go with the positive thoughts. I've always loved this horse from day one. So he's going to win. So that's 1. Built is 2. So I would go over 1.5, but I would not go over 2.5.
Okay. So I think 1.5 is the right line. Just yeah.
Manlow's correct. East Avenue wins or Manlow wins, because if this is your race, if you can beat East Avenue, Manlow, because I really believe we're either going to see the chalk or we're going to see something. We're going to see a Manilow special type of horse. Long shot.
Look at the odds. Your second choice is 4-1. It's and that's saying something, especially if you don't necessarily love Jonathan's Way or even Built. If you want to take a shot against them, you're getting every price you could possibly want. Magnitude at 12-1 for Asmussen. You've got you got American Promise for Lucas, right, at 12-1.
Yep.
Render Judgment at 12-1 for little McPeak special, side by side with the Manlow special. You never know. Give me number 4 East Avenue, though. I will chalk out just because I think just get out of the gate. It's over. It's all it comes down to. Really just break. And honestly, because of that last race, Walsh is going to be like, yeah, we're going to get him out of the gate. That's Kate. Like, that's first and foremost, get him out of the gate. We learned what happened if he doesn't. I did see a comment earlier on where it went, like, why send him here? I think this is an okay spot for East Avenue. We've seen Walsh bring horses here in the past and bring here at the fairground circuit. I don't necessarily hate the spot at all. Do you?
No, he didn't send him anywhere. He's been working out here. He's running out of his own barn, so they didn't ship in for this. So I mean, this is where he should run if he lives there and he's working out there. Well, he should run here. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens after this race. Maybe it's the Bluegrass, maybe it's Louisiana Derby, but no, it's a good spot for him. This is not anything strange. And I think I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the plan all along was this race.
Who is the horse that he had? Was it either last year or 2 years ago that was hyped up running here in the circuit? For some reason, in my mind, I have number 7 in my orange silks or orange saddlecloth in either this race.
Yes,
he was that comped or
in both of them. I think he was one that he was goofy.
Who was it, guys?
God, I can't. No, it wasn't Tastus.
No, it wasn't Tastus.
That was Mott. Shit, you always ask these questions, and as I get older, I can't remember them. I could remember.
It was like a one-name horse, though. I feel like
yes.
Hold on. One word name.
Yes, he really wasn't very good. He was racing against the Mandaloon, I believe.
Hang on,
I think he was that class.
Hold on. I feel like that would have been it.
Proxy.
Yes, thank you. Yep.
Yeah. No, that was Stidham.
Oh shit.
Okay, so what?
It was like a name like that, though.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking it was, but Maxfield. Was it Maxfield?
No, it wasn't Maxfield.
He wasn't down here. I don't know.
No, hang on. I'll find it throughout the course of today's show. Don't worry.
I can't.
If you guys can think of it, we got to get it. We'll figure it out. All right. Yeah, I'm on East Avenue here as well. I think a win would I don't know if it would necessarily lock him up for a top I mean, like as far as Derby Day, let's see what happens in his last.
Oh, did I freeze or did Jared freeze?
The race, right? So,
Well, can you hear
am I
me?
back? Yeah, like my whole thing froze.
Okay,
So,
I was like, all right. What
no,
happened? I thought it was me.
I'm gonna blame Equibase because I was trying to get to the next race, and
Gotcha.
then I realized I couldn't hear you anymore, and my whole screen froze. So
Okay, all right.
but all I was saying was I don't know what you heard, but I was saying
Nothing.
I do think that a win here, if it's somewhat of some sort of dominating win, puts him in the category of the Baffert horses as of now.
Yep.
As of now.
I agree.
All right, guys, let's head over to Sunland Park we're gonna go to Sunday. By the way, guys, the Risen Star, of course, is on Saturday. We do have the betting Bible available right now at racingdudes.com. We brought back the OG betting Bible. Okay, the whole thing's back. The one you know and love. It's got our exact bets, how much money we're betting on every race. Halterman and I, we've kind of gone down back to basics. I think we overthought it a little bit. We're back to what you guys like every race, including the Risen Star. Exactly what I'm betting, exactly what Halterman's betting. All the different types of wagers are included in there. We have multi-race wagers. We have top fours. John White's back in the Bible. So you guys make sure you go to racingdudes.com. It's cheaper now too, by the way, guys. We took $10 off. We're kind of saving the $39.95 for like the bigger ones, like the Derby, the Breeders' Cup, Triple Crown races, Travers, those kind of things. This one, we're back down $29.95. You can get that for free as well if you are a premium subscriber. So make sure you go to racingnews.com, go to the products page. You can get your hands on that. It is available. The full version is available right now. All right, moving forward to Sunday, Sunland Park, the Sunland Park Derby, $400,000, 1 1/16 miles for 3-year-olds. 20 points to the winner for this one. 2010-642 for your top 5 finishers. And here we go, Bob Baffert, 9-5 on Getaway Car. Getaway Car, the 4-horse. Bob Baffert, 7-2 on Touchy for Wesley Ward on the 8-horse. 4-1 on Mackenzie Street. 5-1 on Caldera. That horse is going to get a ton of hype because of the connections. But what do you think, first and foremost, of Getaway Car showing up here instead of heading over to Saudi?
Well, I think it's good news for you that has him in the fantasy league. I don't know. I just feel like you go over to Saudi this time of year, if you're from the United States, at least, I don't know. Like Bookham Daniel went over there and it's like, yeah, we didn't see him forever. He did come back and run okay, but it's just like, that just seems like you're taking a big shot at a big purse and then you're off for a while. So I like this spot better. I think it makes sense. Look, he's the classiest horse in the race. He's been facing the better horses for sure. Think about it. The horses he has been losing to were in this race. They'd be 1-9. So, has he been close to beating Citizen Bull or Journalism? No. But has he been like in another realm? No. He's been within 4 or 5 lengths of them. So, to me, I think he's tough. I think his running style is pretty good for this track. I think he'll get out in front and just try to take it gate to wire. So I like him. I will say it's hard to kind of figure him out because he wasn't very good going 2 turns. That's when this losing streak started. But his pedigree says he should go 2 turns. So he's a weird one to figure out when it comes to that.
Yeah, I know. That's the weird thing about him is like if you looked at him on paper, it's like this guy could run forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you watch him run, you're like, well, shit, And so yeah, he's an interesting one as far as what we're gonna see from him here. I'll be honest, this was the spot that whenever we drafted him, I didn't necessarily think he was. You go into it, it's like, well, this horse hasn't exactly been awesome, but this is the kind of race I was hoping he would run in. That Sunland route, kind of off the path a little bit, get himself, even if he doesn't get to the Derby, but get some points on their way to the Derby. And so I think that's this spot was exactly what I was hoping for. And we all know Sunland Park is a speed track, and I just think we need to get out there and go gate to wire here. Don't don't mess around with it. I think Bob Baffert's running him here probably tells you the same thing, right? That he is wanting, he thinks that he can get some points here.
Yeah, I mean, I think when Baffert sends one here, or when a lot, not all, but a lot of Southern California trainers send one here, they're kind of telling you this is kind of our C string, third string type of horse, and I think we knew that though. Yeah, so I think it's like, okay, here's a spot. It's 400,000. We can steal some points. Maybe this horse can kind of sneak his way into this thing. It's very possible if he wins this race. So I think that's the idea of it. I think he's got his idea of Barnes and Citizen Bull or Rodriguez. Those are my guys. And so we'll try to just do some different stuff here with Getaway Car, and it makes sense. That being said, if you don't trust him, I don't really blame you. I do kind of like the number 9 Caldera. I have that horse in second. This is an interesting horse. I would keep an eye on this one for Dwayne Lucas. Of course, my racehorse owns, so going to be very popular at the window. And on our videos, it's been very popular. People love hearing about the My Racehorse horses. But this feels like a Lucas special a little bit. Not very good on debut. Improved in the second start. Improved again in the third start. They're kind of figuring out how they want to ride him, how they want to place him, where they want to place him in a race. This one looks like he could be pretty good to me. The breeding is incredible. Liam's Map out of a Tisnow mare. I love that. They've kind of figured out he's got a really long stride. He doesn't accelerate that highly, let's say, but the stride is very long. So get him on the lead, and he's going to be tough to pass. I think he's got a shot here. I think he's going to be decent.
Yeah, you kind of wonder what kind of money are we going to be talking about on him? There's a ton of hype on him, and it's mostly on his own camp.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I everywhere you look, it's Caldera. It's Caldera. Everyone's talking about the Caldera, this horse, and you got to be careful sometimes with that My Racehorse money. We've seen it before, right? But sometimes it's right. This is the kind of race that, same reason that you think Getaway Car could win. It's like, well, Caldera this is a hell of a spot for him as well. I think Lucas running this horse here is a nice sign that he thinks he can get some points here. Getaway Car is not going to scare anybody. Let's put it that way.
No, absolutely not. I mean, he's definitely beatable. And like I said, this is Caldera is one that could do it. Maybe one of the locals could do it as well. We'll see. I really, okay. So if you're in a horse racing, you probably know somebody that owns this horse. He has so many owners, and they were telling the owners this is a really good horse. They bet him down to 5-2 his first race. They bet him down to 6-5 his second race. They bet him down to 8-5 his third race. All reports have always been that Lucas really loves the horse, and he's going to be really good. He's got such a long stride. And again, I think what the My Racehorse people have learned, and if you follow racing, what you kind of know, Lucas is not a guy that wins a lot first out or even second out. He's kind of a build him up type. And boy, this horse just keeps getting better. And so I think it's a really good spot. I think you can go to this spot and maybe then go Arkansas Derby, Bluegrass, Louisiana Derby, something like that next. So I think this was really smart to bring him out here. And then I think it sets him up for one more prep after that.
Do you think, do you think this is a situation? Let's go back a little bit to the 4-horse Getaway Car. Do you think this is a situation that he doesn't think he's very good, and so this is where he's running here? That obviously this is a horse that's ran since his debut, and let's make there's a point. Now it's always there's always a first horse, right? And this was the horse for Bob Baffert. This was kind of before gaming, right? The gaming was like the next one, and then of course Getaway Car, which is what we heard about. Getaway Car. This is the horse. The horse was awesome. It went straight to the best pal after maiden, and then game just blitzed him in the Futurity. And then since then, he hasn't really ran bad, but he hasn't ran great. But he's also ran against Citizen Bull twice in journalism in the Futurity, Los Al Futurity. So my point is do you think this is just like hey, we just need a class relief? But he's still obviously they keep running him in all the big grade 1 races. I mean, ran 3 straight grade 1 races. The Charity's a grade 2, but I mean, we know that's a hell of a race for those 2-year-olds. So my point is, do you think this is a matter of class relief, or hey, let's just get him back, kind of see if we can kind of reset a little bit with him?
I think they're just trying to hit the reset button and trying to see, okay, let's see if we can, what we can do with him. Let's see if he could go over here and win and maybe get him going, because here's the deal. And I know when we were in Seattle, he won the Best Pal. We all watched it together. And I remember you and I and Ryan talking. It's like, look, this horse is by Curlin out of a morning line mare. If he can win going 5 furlongs and 6 furlongs, he's going to be tough when they stretch out. And I think as a trainer, you probably look at him and think, for some reason, we can't get the most out of him. We just can't get him to produce. So let's try to kind of not toss him aside, but let's try to send him here and see if he can, the light bulb comes on and he gets a confidence booster and he gets out in front and he holds on this time. And then we'll try it again against tougher horses and we'll see if that made a difference for him. That's what it feels like to me. I don't feel like he's just like, well, this guy sucks, let's just throw him in there. I don't really think that's what Baffert does. I think he always kind of has a game plan. But again, it is kind of a now or never. As far is this horse even got any prayer to make the Derby? It's now or never. You have to win here or it's over.
Yeah, I mean, this is that like the last one. It's like, hey, maybe if East Avenue doesn't win, maybe it's no. For Getaway Car, this is it. You got if you're shipping to Sunland, you should cruise, right? It really shouldn't be. It shouldn't be close. And so this is a lot of because if he wins here, then shit. I mean, who knows, he can end up in any of the big races after this, right? This could be kind of the first, like, hey, okay, we got him back. But if he doesn't, the farm, the farm, he's going to go up north. We'll find out where he goes. But, this is a big race for him. Anyone else in this race other than those two that we've talked about that, touchy? How about that horse for Rosario and Wesley Ward?
I can't. I think getting back to the dirt's going to be good. I can't. I'm just not sold on that horse completely yet. I do think, like I said, get back to the dirt. That'll be good for the horse. I don't think he liked the synthetic very well in his last start there at Turfway. I was watching him that day thinking he might be decent and just didn't fire. He fired, but it wasn't. I just didn't see the acceleration out of him there. I don't know. I can't. I don't like him enough, I don't think, in this spot. He's not horrible, but I'm skeptical of him.
I did see a report from Baffert that originally, like, he kind of wanted Romanesque to end up going to Saudi, and then that's kind of where Getaway Car took the place of, so to speak. And then of course he's like, well, that's crazy. We're not going to, like, kind of like we all thought. Romanesque wasn't going to make it, and then he, rather than sitting Getaway Car kind of stays put. So that's kind of, at least from what I read from the Bob Baffert part, that is a little bit where Getaway Car even started the conversation of going to Saudi. But so I just think it's Getaway Car and then there's everyone else, in my opinion. I don't. Getaway Car should cruise. That's my that's my final thoughts on the race. Really, I think he'll win. I still don't necessarily think he's, like, even if he wins, I'm not going to sit here and say he's like, okay, it's Barnes and Getaway Car and, you know what I mean, and Citizen Bull. I still think he's cut below, but I think he should win here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I think he's the one to beat. And yeah, I think if he wins here, you're looking at a horse that could probably make the Derby. And if he doesn't run well, I think you're looking at like a Pat Daymile type.
Yeah, I mean, and then if he doesn't win here, then you're just grasping at that point, honestly, there's 1,000 different spots that he could end up in. So
the farm being one of them.
The farm up north being one of them. So, all right, you and I are both on. We're going fours. We're going fours all the way. Number 4, Getaway Car. There you go, Kevin. We're gonna get a win this weekend. Okay.
One horse that is missing from the work tab and from Baffert's mouth is Madaket Road. So I don't know what's going on with him.
Farm -600. Listen, when we drafted him, Kevin, this is exactly what the kind of spot I was hoping we'd get in. So now we just gotta have him have a run, So
Yep.
We gotta have those points since our other horsemen to the farm this weekend too. Oh shit. All right, guys. As we mentioned earlier, it is we've decided to take some matters into our own hands here. As reported earlier in the Risen Star segment, Todd Pletcher did receive a positive test, a drug positive for Vasimo, and obviously Vasimo running this weekend still might get a hefty fine, Halterman, of about $500 and up 7 or 15-day suspension for Todd Pletcher. It's looking like. So, you know what? We heard this news. We talked about it amongst our, not just us, but amongst our peers and some of our the people we hold most dear and nearest and dearest to our hearts. We came up with a plan. A strategy of how we can take this into our own hands.
Yeah, we've created the Wheel of Justice. So remember the Wheel of Doom that we do for the fantasy Wheel of Death. Actually, is what we call that one. This is the Wheel of Justice. So swift punishment for these positive tests. We're going to start with Pletcher since he just got one, but we're going to bring this every week. I pretty much every week we get a positive somewhere, and we are going to hand down the wheel. This is the wheel for every trainer not named Bob Baffert. Baffert's got his own one. We have it creative. We know we're going to need it eventually. So we've got Baffert's created. We'll keep it in the can, but this is the Wheel of Justice for the rest of the racing world.
That's right. And so as we've mentioned, we are taking this into our own hands. No one has asked us to do this, but sometimes you don't have to be asked. Sometimes you just have to take it into your own hands. We will have a special Bob Baffert wheel. That wheel is different, much more severe as we've seen. But for the regular everyday trainers, I'll list the punishments out, and then we'll spin that sucker and we'll find out where Todd Pletcher lands and what kind of fines he's looking at. So here are your options. You get a 15-minute timeout in the corner. That's a tough one there. 1 day plus a $15 fine. 2 days and 0 fine. 5 days exclusive at Mahoning Valley.
Yep.
You get 15 days. That's a whopping one, but no weekends. We don't count weekends, right? So you still run on weekends.
No.
30 days, but only if a meth positive, aka the Phil DiMano rule. So that one's only, if you do land on that, you will get a respin.
Right, correct.
This one's a good one. You could win a Clips Award for the outstanding trainer. So there's that. That's a good one. Absolutely nothing. That's an option.
Yeah.
A stern warning. And then our two favorites: 1 hour date with Belinda Stronach.
Yep.
Or a 1 hour date with Johnny Weir.
I think this is what racing needs. This could stop the drug epidemic in racing right here. And that's why we're doing it. That's the only sole reason we're doing it. This is not supposed to be funny. This is serious because you've got to punish these people. They're not going to take it into account. We're going to do it for them.
That's right. So you ready? You want to find? You guys ready? Are everybody ready to see what kind of punishment Todd Pletcher gets? Everybody, count of 3. Good. No. Again, this is for the positive test.
Here we go.
Todd Pletcher. What will he?
Oh,
Oh,
no.
did he get it? Oh, 2-day fine. 2-day suspension. $0 fine for Todd Pletcher. That will start in 2027.
Well, December 24th and 25th in 2027 will be the days.
Yeah. So there you go. Todd Pletcher receives 2-day fine or 2-day suspension, 0 fine. Thank you, everybody, for playing Todd Pletcher. Thank you for being our first guest on the Wheel of Justice. We will see you next week on Wheel of justice. Yeah. No endorsements are going to be no endorsements, no long-term punishments handed down here.
So should we show them Baffert's special wheel or wait till he gets a positive?
Let's wait.
Okay.
Let's wait. That one's
Okay.
yeah, let's wait.
Okay.
As you can, one of them is like, I think one of them is, one of the options we put on that wheel was death.
Yeah, I think that was a cut. No, it was like 3 of the options. I'm pretty the worst one or the best one was like suspended 3 years for the Kentucky Derby, and then I think like what was the worst one? I don't remember. Well, listen.
The worst one was having a hit piece written by Jay Pridman.
Oh yeah, Jay Pridman's going to come out of retirement and write a hit piece on him. So that's, I mean, we all lose in that case.
Yeah. So, basically the point of that is Bob Baffert only gets the worst suspension ideas, whereas everyone else, we get 1 day, in Todd Pletcher's case, 2 days, which is, guys, listen.
Yeah.
That is like right in the middle ground, okay? That's a serious punishment for him.
Listen, 2 days is a long time. A long time.
Gabe, we might have to break it out every week. Let's be honest.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what's weird? The actual suspension is only 5 days longer than that stupid thing we just did.
I know.
I love it.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah.
Like our joke will has 2 days and 0 fine, and the real suspension is very possibly 7 days.
Yep.
5 days longer.
Yep. But
which, by the way, if you want to get real technical, the 2 days word we mentioned might be on a weekend, so the other 5 are really bullshit anyways. So
100%. Yeah.
yeah,
I feel good though about
Rapoli has not gotten back with this, Travis. So
yeah. No, but I feel good about what we're doing. I think this is going to be good. I think we can punish these people, and especially Baffert. I can't wait for him to get another positives. We could really use the wheel to do some good, So I think this is reform. This is kind of when Hissa took over. This is kind of the reform they were thinking. They couldn't execute it, so we'll execute it for him. I like that.
It's like I'm just picturing us being in charge of this real thing, and we do this for several weeks or months, and then Bob Baffert finally gets one. And he's like, "Well, this is no big deal. These guys, like, I've seen the punishments. This shit is like, okay, spin that wheel." And then here comes the wheel. It's like firing squad, death, 3 years suspension, never running to the. He's like, "What the fuck? What?" Yeah. So here we go though. This is it's a joke, right? It is, but at the same time, it's like. This is also a very real reality in our sport. That I feel like sometimes that's how they did. I can't wait to see who the first trainer to go on a date with either Johnny Weir or Belinda Stronach is. So,
well, I can't wait either, and I think it's gonna be fun to see. But again, we're trying to clean up the game. We've talked about trying to clean up the game for years. We don't do anything, right? We just bitch about it. Now we're going to make change. We're going to make reform. And I think that's something that everybody should pat us on the back for. We're trying to reform horse racing and make it better. And look, if you have to go on a date for 1 hour with Belinda Stronach, you may not dope that horse on Saturday night when you get back. You may just say, you know what, we'll just run him clean and we'll see what happens. So that's the hope. And look, we can change as we go, but we feel that these punishments, 2 days is a long time. We feel like we're off to a good start.
Yeah, I mean, if I doped my horse and I could possibly have to go on a date listening to the dude from the Derby talk about my fashion for an hour, I think I might rethink it.
We if this would have been around with Service and Navarro back in the day, we probably could have saved them from going to prison, because these punishments would have been enough. It never would have got that far. So again, it is sad that we're late with it. We take full responsibility for not having this out earlier, but it's here now. And from this day forward, we are going to try to make racing better.
I don't know where they're at, Kevin, honestly. Imagine Navarro's got it. He's got to be in prison or dead or in Mexico or something. I don't know.
I heard a rumor last year that I'm sure isn't true that Navarro was at like a training facility in Florida training horses. I have no idea. That's probably false, but somebody told me that. I'm not saying that's true. Just saying that's the last I heard of him.
Would it? I mean, shock me? No, not really.
No.
No. Yeah, that's interesting. We can have a Navarro wheel as well. So
No, he gets the same wheel as the rest of them. It's just Baffert that gets the really bad wheel.
Yeah, that he gets it. Like even we could even add a spot, the Navarro spot, where it's like FBI raid, sent to prison, training in a year. You know, we could have that one too. So
I like that. That's good. That's good.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have. Make sure you check us out at RacingDudes.com for our free picks and our premium selections on our products page. Click the Get Racing Dudes premium button at the menu at RacingDudes.com to learn more. Remember to go check out the betting Bible. It is available right now. The Risen Star betting Bible available for all 14 races on the card on Saturday at Fairgrounds. You get exact picks, not just ideas or here's some of the plays we play. The exact bet, the exact dollar amount. You can tone that up or down depending on your budget, but that is available right now at racingnews.com. We have John White's picks as well included in that. Every race, all four, his top four picks, all that included. It is for free if you are a premium subscriber, or now a reduced price of $30 in the shop. We're on Twitter at racing_dudes, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can find all episodes of Blinkers Off by visiting our podcast page. Podcasts. You can listen to that everywhere you listen to podcasts, including Apple. You make sure go check out the dudes who bet sports, who did a recap of the Super Bowl. So I guess I'm not going to listen to that, but I'm sure that was fun. And the Magic Mike show, which I don't know. I think they did the late pick 5 at Fairgrounds, I would imagine, this week. So they were running just when we started. They were still going, but it is available now as well. So one thing, have you seen speaking of the Chiefs, I watched for the first time. I knew it existed, and I obviously knew about him over all the years, but I finally watched the actual documentary last night, the Chiefsaholic documentary on Prime.
Oh, I haven't watched it, but I want to.
Holy shit. Like I knew the whole story, but I guess I really didn't know the whole story because holy shit, it's good. It is unbelievably. It's unbelievable that it's happened, that it was true. It was, you got to watch it. It's a good watch. It's like 2 hours long. It's very, very, it's wild. I can't believe it's a real thing. It was a real thing.
I really need to watch it. I saw it on there the other day, but I didn't do it. But yeah, I'm glad you said that because that was kind of, I'd almost forgotten that it was there. But yeah, it's a wild ass story to begin with. I don't want to give it away. Yeah, well, I haven't seen it like you have, but I know the premise of it, and yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy.
Yeah, and it's weird because they and I don't know how it happened, but basically, because he was like at the time he was like a larger than life figure, just in Chiefs, right? Like in that world, like everyone knew the Wolf guy was, and so or at least knew about the Wolf guy. And then when he got out of prison or out of jail, he got arrested and then out of jail, like then that's when the film, like he started like kind of a documentary, like literally a crew with him.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting. I didn't really realize you're interviewing him and like it was following him around. And then the dude cuts his ankle bracelet and is gone. And then that's when the show just goes from 0 to 100 real fast.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Holy
I didn't
shit,
know that.
like
all I knew was what happened before that led to the arrest. That's all I know.
Right. So he gets out on bond. This guy bonds him out to help him out. It's then the documentary is following all that process. He's watching the Super Bowl when they beat the Eagles like 2 years ago. He's watching that in a hotel room with his ankle bracelet on in Oklahoma because he robbed the bank in like Bixby, Oklahoma.
Okay.
And so he's still there. A week or so goes by, however long he's got to stay there because it's court and shit. the ankle bracelet gets cut, and then he's gone. And the manhunt begins. He's on the most wanted list. And then all of a sudden, I think it's 8 to 10 banks are robbed, and they're all correlated with where the Chiefs games are at. He stole over close to $1 million. It was like 800 and some thousand, making crazy bets. Like the dude, it's hard. He was so he was basically, what he was doing is he was robbing banks, and then he was laundering the money through he was depositing that money into his accounts or whatever, and then making bets in casinos or online bets, like sports bets, and laundering it through that. And so the dude was just, and then the mom, Manlow, if you saw there's a mom aspect to it, that part is weird in itself. You got to watch it. You got to watch it and report back, because
I'll watch it tomorrow. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow.
And it's one of those that Heather would like it. It's not. I mean, it's sports related, obviously, but it's like a crime doc, So it's very.
Yeah.
It'll have you on the edge of your seat. And you're just like, how is this a thing? So, and having McAfee on, and you remember he was following it for the longest time.
Yeah.
And when the Chiefs, or when the Kansas City hosted the draft, it was that same time frame. And it was like, will he be there? Will the reports, will he show up? It was crazy. It was a big deal.
Wow. Like I said, I knew about it, but I did not know the details like this. I gotta watch it. Yeah,
you gotta watch it. He's in prison now. It's wild. So, Manlow, I saw that. I would, if it's just those two without any sort of backup or anything. Rocker he's roided out now. You see Rocker, he's huge.
Yeah,
I think John Rocker, one hit. Pat Senior's going down.
Yeah,
one hit.
I think Rocker takes him down.
Yeah.
Yep. I do.
That was I guess they knew each other from their baseball days, I guess. But
yeah, John Rocker's a nut. I don't know if he still is, but he was back in the day.
He was always wild. Yeah, he's still on the juice. Yeah, you could tell. He's I don't even know what that was about. I just saw the bits of it. I've been trying to stay off social media as much as I possibly can after Sunday. So
you should make that a thing.
Oh, I know. It's pretty nice, really.
It is amazing.
Anyways, so we're still not over it, but we're getting there. So any final thoughts, Halter, before we head out of here?
No, not really. Have a great weekend, everybody. Hey, if you're into hockey, make sure to watch the Four Nations tournament going on right now. It is fucking fantastic. The first game was last night between Canada and Sweden, and it was awesome. So if you're bored this weekend, no football, obviously horse racing's number one. The Four Nations face off number two. It's great. We got Canada, United States going Saturday night, so it's going to be awesome.
Have you been tracking any, I saw Luka made his debut the other night. I mean, is at this point, it's just old news now?
I don't care about the NBA, so it's hard. It was a shocking situation. That's for sure. I still can't believe it happened. One of the most shocking trade ever. But I did not, I'll admit, I did not watch his game. No.
I mean, I still have a hard time seeing him in Lakers uniform. It's weird.
I just go back to thinking, I just can't imagine being a Dallas Mavericks fan. I would just be sick about it.
I just can't imagine thinking that was it's like trading when you traded Saquon to the Eagles. You're like, that there's probably zero way this thing looks good for us down the road,
Right. Yeah.
And trading away a franchise elite. I mean, you're talking about I was sitting there thinking, because LeBron has to look around and say, wow, it's like I'm Jordan, I've got Pippen and whoever with me, but it's like, shit, Luka's kind of like a Jordan. I mean, he's not Jordan. And I'm like compare, but I'm saying he is the star. Yep. And obviously, you just traded him away. It just makes no sense to me how they could thought that would have been a good idea. Yeah, and not even if you do trade him, shop him a little,
Yeah. So you're a Thunder fan, and I'm like a fake Thunder fan until the playoffs, but I know what's happening. Can you imagine if if you woke up tomorrow morning and Shea had been traded from the Thunder?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You would freak the fuck out. And
Yeah.
and that's what it's like. Like those are people you don't trade. It's just wild.
I mean, I don't know what the deal was. Obviously, there's some sort of bad blood there, but between the two parties, but it just felt like you could have got more for him. Like you traded him for. I mean, AD's a beast, but he's also an aging, hurt half the time guy. You know what I mean? Like he's a difference maker for sure when he's on the court, but like you couldn't have got younger prospects, you know what I mean? Like if you really had to trade him, if you really felt like that is what we have to do, I mean, shit, it better freaking work. The Mavs were in the finals last year. It's not like they're a team that just could not win with Luka and like this is not working. We have to like reset, dude. Yeah. Remember they knocked out the Thunder last year in the playoffs. Yeah. They were awesome.
Yeah, it's just mind boggling. And I think you're right. If we just got to get rid of this guy, we hate him. Okay, go rob some team of like 4 young players or 3 young players that have a high ceiling that you've kind of scouted or whatever. But Anthony Davis, I mean, I get it. Yeah, he's a good player, but for Luka, I mean, that's insane. And like I said, he's hurt all the time. And even when he's out there, it's like he's a great player, but he's not like all generation guy. Like he's like a top 20 NBA player, which is great. But for Luka, come on.
Yeah. I mean, we'll find out. There's a lot of pressure on the Mavs making this work like now. But Cuban's not even like doesn't even have a call, does he anymore? I thought he kind of sold all his say on that.
Yeah. So I think he's minority owner now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not been a majority owner for a few years, I thought. So I'm sure though, like he's shocked by it because he was. I mean, no matter what you thought of Cuban, he was always a player's owner.
He would never do this. Never.
No, absolutely not. So.
Well, it would be like when they had Dirk Nowitzki. They won the title once with Dirk, but he was a great player. It'd be like if they would have traded Dirk in his prime, back when Cuban was kind of calling the shots a little bit more. Crazy.
I saw the Dirk went to LA to watch him debut, and like that goes to show you what Luka meant to not just that franchise, but to him. And I mean, he's a Mavs guy through and through, obviously, but to go to LA to watch him play, it's they were saying like the reports too is like it's so insane. It's like he's like pushing like 300 pounds. He was like he was like out of shape, and he it's like, dude, the guy looks fine to me. Like I don't know.
I don't think we'll ever see anything that dumb ever again.
Well, I don't know.
That's just something. And again, if it's the last year of his contract and stuff like that, we're used to seeing that. And hey, we're not going to resign him, so let's get what we can get. But this guy was in the prime, so it's wild. It is wild.
The NBA stuff is crazy. Like I don't fully get but like he was about to get because he was there. He'd been there his career. Like he was about to be eligible for like a super max contract. Mm-hmm. And now that he's traded, he's not. That's so he's. I mean, he's still going to get paid, but it's not like it would have been. And so I don't know if that was an aspect to that as well. Like, hey, we're going to have to pay this guy X amount, and if he's a pain in our ass, or we think he is, then let's move him now. But
yeah, I mean, there's obviously some shit they didn't like, right? I mean, you don't just do this for no reason. So there's something that they really didn't like about him. But again, on the floor, that's all I can go by. The guy's unbelievable. So
there's certain things that you take, like as far as dealing with a star, if he's that guy. The dude dropped like 70 some points in a game last year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like Manilow was talking about the Colts there, and it would be like trading Peyton Manning when he was 27, 28 years old.
Yeah.
From the Colts. Like, yeah, finally they didn't want to re-sign him and they moved on, and he was old and he went somewhere. That's fine. But in the prime, you don't trade Peyton Manning. You don't trade. Pat Mahomes would be a great, I mean, as bad as he played, you still don't want to trade him. Like, if you woke up tomorrow and he's gone, you would be like, well, fuck the Chiefs. It'd be crazy. So, anyway.
Well, I mean, you look around at, I mean, like any kid that is a fan of the Mavs, they have a Luka jersey.
Yeah.
Like that's
which is every kid
guy. It's got to be one of the top selling jerseys in the NBA.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then he's just gone, and I know NBA is different than NFL. Like you don't tend to have the stars stick around there as much as obviously you do in the NFL, but certain guys, right? Especially in their prime. I mean, the guy's like, what is he? 26, something like that.
He's not
young.
Old. Yeah. I know that the alert on your phone or on our phone was from ESPN, right? When it came out, I looked at it and thought, somebody's getting fired over that one.
Yeah, there's no way that's a documented source.
Yeah. And then John texts me and I'm like, oh, they duped John. Like, there's no way that's a thing. And then so I was like, all right, I better get on ESPN. And then it's all over it. I'm like, no, this is it. Like, it happened.
Yeah. What? It was like popping up on ESPN, like on TV, like in red, like on the bottom, like an asteroid is about to hit.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's Luke has been traded. You're like, holy shit, that happened! Wow,
it's wild.
Oh man. Well, and they said that Kidd didn't even know about it. Jason Kidd, Matt, didn't. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but. Can you imagine? Like, he's got to be pissed. Everyone that didn't know about that in the organization's got to be. Are you shitting me?
I don't know how a coach can't know. I mean, that's just.
If he didn't, that brings up a whole other list of things. That's issues with that organization. But
yeah,
that's crazy. But
yeah,
there's gonna be a 30 for 30 or a documentary on that trade one day. You bet.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, and that'll be fascinating. So
yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when the Lakers or Luka go on to have the next like Laker run, and win multiple years, and the Mavs are, that Cuban sold them, and the Mavs go down the shithole. It's like a whole. Yeah. It all started when Luka was traded. Yeah, it's a whole thing. So
if you remember, the Mavs were absolutely pathetic before Cuban got there. So it'd be crazy if they became pathetic once he kind of sort of is gone.
Yeah, he's probably gonna sell the rest of his stock now. Shit.
It's not worth anything now, though. He's got to hold on.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, again, like at least if you would have got some like really, serious like young capital or draft, really like first round pick for the next 6 years or some bullshit. Just something where it's like, okay, we could really rebuild this. It's not ideal, but man, we could probably rebuild this. Like the Thunder do sometimes, where they trade away guys and they take time to build it back up, and then look what they've got now. Yeah. But no, they not only did they trade them, but they went all in on now, right? And that's even crazier in my opinion. So
it's insane. Yeah.
All right, guys, that's our NBA coverage for the show as well. Again, good luck this weekend. The Risen Star Sunland Derby. We'll have a ton of answers, hopefully more answers and questions after this weekend. And then next weekend we have the Rebel. We'll also have a betting Bible for the Rebel as well. So back-to-back weekends with betting Bibles. It's a great time to be a subscriber because you will get those for free if you are a premium. Shit. Oh, a little trigger happy here. All right. Until next time, I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck this weekend, guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.